Fans, it's your man Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars. What am I going to talk about today? I'm going to tell you why I think something has happened right now in the preseason. We're kind of glad it happened right now instead of later. What am I talking about? Stand by. You're going to find out here on a Thursday.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Enjoying my theme music right there here on Locked On Jaguars. It's Thursday. What is going on? What is happening? Tony Wiggins. I'm going to tell you exactly what I have in store for you today. I'm going to tell you why I think something that we all think is very bad or that's not very fan-friendly that has happened at the right time, because later on it could be the wrong time. We're going to talk about that in the first and second segments of the day. And then I'm going to look at the depth chart a little bit, and I'm going to tell you where some shocks and surprises may come as we get to the end of this week where, quite frankly, teams have to do some cutting down. I will tell you today's show is sponsored to you by rockauto.com, where we have amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them that Locked On sent you. All right, man, let's get to it. Get to what? It's the show. This is what we're going to do, man. We're going to discuss and talk about something that I believe has occurred that is kind of a good thing. It's kind of a good thing that it's happened, and that is that some of this, once I got rid of the emotion, some of this enthusiasm that we had that's been tempered a little bit, it's not really a bad thing, okay? You always want that momentum to keep going. You want that momentum to keep happening. But it's not really a bad thing at this point that certain things happen. And what that is reality kind of slaps you in the face as a fan. And instead of you being brought down during the regular season, it brought you down a notch now. It brought me down a notch, and I'm a media member. So the thing is things probably weren't designed to go the way that we all felt like we hoped that they would go. And the realistic part of it is it might not be the team that learned the lesson. It might be all of us. This is a hard league, and I said that over and over again. You don't just change things overnight. While the Jaguars got better in the offseason, I think everybody else did too. Your new team wasn't going to be playing against the same old teams that they've played in the past. These teams have improved. Case in point, Julio Jones is now in Tennessee. That's an improvement. Houston might not have improved, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But everyone has gotten better. And then those teams that were already good, well, they just gotten that much better, right? But let me look at it from a player and a coach standpoint. You ever been enthusiastic about something? So enthusiastic that you thought, like, for instance, dieting. It's something that trying to eat better and live more healthy. Something I've always had to try to do, right? You ever thought about it like this? You got on the scale before you start dieting. And then you start dieting, you start working out. You work out twice a day. You do cardio, you do light weights. You eat better. You've been eating healthy. You've been eating fresh stuff. You suffer through that first week where you're hungry and you're about to chew your tongue up and you're getting in fat burning stages, you're getting those burgers and all of that stuff out of your mind, and you feel better. Your clothes seem like they fit a little looser. Everything seems a little tighter. Your muscles hurt, but now you're getting used to it. And now you've gotten used to working out. So now it's a lifestyle thing. You're 3-4 weeks in, and you get back on that scale, and you lost 2 pounds. And you thought you were fine. You thought, and I don't mean fine as in okay. I'm saying fine as in beautiful, like sculpted, because of all this work and all of this lettuce you've been eating and all this water you've been drinking, and the fact that you feel better and you haven't been partaking in all of the things that got you in that condition in the first place. And all of a sudden, you get on the scale and you've lost 2 pounds. And you think, I did all this for nothing. I got a long way to go. Don't fret. Because all you did was you lost a bunch of bad weight and you gained some muscle more than likely, and you have transformed your body. Don't your clothes fit differently? Don't worry about the scale. Don't let the scale lie to you. Right now, the scale is the preseason. That is what it is. You had a lot of enthusiasm. You were sold out to something. If you're a Jaguar player or a coach, it's something new. It's a new day. We're going to show everybody. And then you go out and you lay a dud. And then you say, you know what? That was just the first game. We were banged up a little bit. We're going to come out. We're going to do it again. The second game, you lay another one. I like the sound effects. I hope y'all like my little noises I'm trying to make. But yeah, that's the thing. It didn't go your way. I got news for you. I got a good news for you. They didn't count. And now you know that it's not just going to be your enthusiasm. It's not just going to be your want. It's not about your want to. It's not about your mindset. It's not about your uniforms. It's not about your swag. It's not about new slogans. It's not about any of that. Football is about blocking and tackling and execution and paying attention to details. No one needs to pay attention to details and block and execute more than a team that isn't as talented as most of the teams that they're going to play. And that is the situation that I believe Jacksonville is in. I think reality set in. I think you thought you had arrived. I think you thought a little bit your enthusiasm took over. The fans, the barbecue part of it took over. But if you're a player, the want to, the desire to be better and to change things took over, and you go out, and then what happens when everybody gets punched in the face? You kind of realize that the other team lift weights too. The other team has goals. The other team has desires. The other team wants it just as bad as you. It's a new day for them too. Only with them, they're more talented. So now you see what you have to do if you're a Jaguar fan and if you're a Jaguar player and coach. This has to be the little engine that could until it actually does. That's what we have to do. You can have a savage mindset, but if you can't actually do the things that savages do because you're just not good enough yet, reality sets in that you're either going to fight or you're going to get beat up. And I think this group is a group of people that now realizes that they have to fight, that they have to execute, that they have to pay attention. If they didn't learn that lesson, it's going to be a problem. I kind of think they did. I think you can look at Urban Meyer's body language and you can tell he's not quite where he wants to be. And I think he realizes at this point it's going to be hard to get there. This is not easy. This is hard work. This is super hard work. I'm going to tell you how hard it's going to be, and I'm going to tell you how I think getting the slap in the face early is going to really, really help the Jacksonville Jaguars as the season progresses, and why at some point towards the 3-quarter mark or the 3-quarter pole of the season, you guys will not be sad anymore. I'll tell you in just a second here on more of Locked On Jaguars in segment 2. And we start right now. Segment 2 is started here on Locked On Jaguars on a Thursday. It's just Get Right Thursday, man. It's like we face the reality. Look, this is what it is, man. And what it is right now is this team is probably not going to be as good as our enthusiasm hoped they'd be early. They have a big learning curve for the young players that they're going to depend on. They have a learning curve that those guys now realize that these are grown men we're playing against, right? This is a whole different ballgame. The reality is also that maybe some of the players that you thought were good just because they got signed, you have to realize they may not be as good as you think they are. And as long as they realize who they are and what they are now, they know exactly what it is they have to do. Your contract, your situation doesn't make you improve. You are who you are. So now you got to play within yourself. The old saying I used to use is maybe everybody was smelling themselves a little bit too much. And that's not necessarily a negative because you're supposed to feel good about who you are and you're supposed to feel good about your chances. I just do know and believe that we have to understand that other teams are going to fight back and they're going to try to. It doesn't mean that the season is grim. It doesn't mean that the hopes that you have for the team to a certain extent can those goals can still be met. I do think it can. I just do think that now you realize where the team is deficient and where they actually have to go out and get coached up, and they're going to have to overachieve a little bit if they're going to get anywhere near what we hope for. Now that Travis Etienne is out, that's another part of the team that's a bit of a downer. Urban described it as a punch in the jaw, but they have to find a way. And I hope they really evaluate this roster and understand that you can want to play a certain way, but you have to build your team to be able to play based on what they're capable of. And that's going to be one of the things. Can this coaching staff read the room and build this team as they reduce the roster this coming week? We're going to talk about segment 3 and some of the guys that I think may or may not make it. See, there's a way you can want to be, and there's a way that you have to recognize who you are and know whether you can or can't be that. Just win some games. You just got to win games. You got to figure it out every single week how to win games. First and foremost, they got to get on the same page. And I hope that what happens in the regular season, it appears that they're not on the same page, but it could appear that way because they just have a problem with blending their philosophies, or it could appear that way because one guy just wants to hold back and be vanilla, and that guy's Darrell Bevel, whereas Urban thinks it's important to show something early. I think they'll get that ironed out eventually. And that's because they may hold some guys back a little bit this week, or they may not. They may play everybody against Dallas. Urban has already named Trevor Lawrence a starter and says he will play. You want them to get a little rhythm. You want them to feel good about themselves, because I think that's what has to happen with the young team, especially a young team that has just been put together the way they are and the way they have been. They got to get chemistry. There's nothing that replaces chemistry in any sport, especially a sport where you depend on so many people. Basketball, it's very important to get chemistry, but it's easier to do that when you have a 15-man roster and you're playing maybe 8 or 9 people. In the NFL, no, man, it's 11 guys at a time on multiple units in multiple situations, and people just got to figure out how to get on the same page. That is the main way that this team is going to be able to move forward. If everyone is on the same page, if everyone understands that they have to get every single thing they can out of each individual play, each drive, each possession, and they got to just get it figured out. One of the things that they can do might work against the way that they actually want to play. I think they have to now go and turn and be a run-heavy team, because the team has shown a propensity to run block. You get your running game going, and then you get some play action going and some short passes. Even design some plays where Trevor can do some naked boots as long as he doesn't take too many hits. Figure out a way to get the ball down the field and score some points early. Do that, and you can depend on your defense right now from the way it looks to stop the run early, and then try to get those corners to stay closer to those receivers. And if you stop the run and put them in long down and distance situations, then when you go to your sub packages, you'll have more guys in the defensive backfield that the team will have to throw against. But that's just my little philosophy on how they can get to where we want them to be. I'm going to tell you what roster moves might be affected, what spots, maybe even name a guy or two, as long as we don't have any more injuries. We can't have any more catastrophic injuries. We can't have any more injuries that are season-ending that are going to really affect the depth chart. And we're going to figure out maybe where they'll look once the final cuts are. Where will they go and where will they look to try to add some stuff to the team? We'll do that in just a second here on segment 3 of a Thursday edition of Locked On Jaguars. After I tell you about betonline.ag. It's the time of year where all eyes are turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Get all the updated odds, props, contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest and the world's largest $200,000 NFL Survivor contest, open now at BetOnline. Head to the website to use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus when you use the promo code Locked On. Now, be sure to take advantage of the opening day super promo. Make a bet on the Thursday, September 9th game between the Bucs and the Cowboys, and if you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25 for new customers only when signing up and using the promo code NFL100. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, from football, boxing, basketball, to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the great offers available through the 2021 season. BetOnline is your online sportsbook experts. Promo code Locked On. That special promo code for that offer on opening day is NFL100. rolling along here on a Thursday. It's going to let you guys know, man. I know it's rough, and I know you have to change and sort of temper the way that you kind of look at the season when you had all of this hope, and I know a lot of people. It may be realistic to you, it may be unrealistic to you, but some people really thought that this team had a chance to make some serious noise because they had all of that cap space. And what you really thought that they did when they signed all of these guys without going mega star, but you thought they may realize that they've had stars already in James Robinson and Trevor Lawrence, and perhaps DJ Chalk would turn the corner along with Laviska Shenault, and then you had Josh Allen and of course Miles Jack. So you thought that what the team probably felt like, okay, we got these big time players or these big name guys in these key positions. Where the team is missing is depth and infrastructure. So when they went out and signed all of these guys in free agency that weren't the A line, the A players, because if they had gone after all of those guys, they may have could have got maybe 4 or 5 of them. But then you wonder where's the depth going to come from? But what they did was they decided to go get depth and then believed, I think, that their coaching, their philosophy, their strategy, and their program would allow those players to overachieve or at least ascend to another level in their careers. So what have they done? If Mr. Agnew is as good as we think, they believe they have the best punt and kick returner in the NFL. Urban hasn't been happy with the kicking game, though. There was the thought that special teams wise with Josh Lambo, that they had probably one of the 3 or 4 best kickers in the NFL. And then with Logan Cook, they had the best punter. So you get the best punter, the best kicker, and then the best returner. You think that aspect is an advantageous one for you as a Jaguar fan. Then you probably believe that your offensive line was pretty good. It probably needed another player or two that you went and got. You bolster up the receiving core. You add to the room with the professionalism of Marvin Jones, and you get a little bit of speed mixed in with Travis Etienne and Philip Dorsett to go with what you already have. So you're probably thinking, all right, we're all right at wide receiver. We're still a little weak at tight end, but we can get by with that. With the addition of Carlos Hyde and of course, we mentioned Etienne to go along with James Robinson. Okay, we've added a little versatility with some professionalism, some pass pro, and some more explosiveness. So we're out at running back. We got one of the best prospects ever in the history of the team at quarterback. So all we got to do is get this thing right, get it going, and we'll be fine. And then on defense, Urban wanted one of the top 8 defensive lines in the league. He went out in free agency and bolstered it, and he felt like he was in the top 25 percentile in that. It's yet to be seen. They felt like they got better at linebacker with somebody who could run with Miles Jack, but they're going to be in nickel most of the time. They're going to probably only have 2 linebackers on the, and I'm not including the edge guys as linebackers, but you probably feel like you were okay in that area. And then you really bolstered the defensive backs through free agency and the draft, so you probably felt like with the way Joe Cullen wants to play, you have the profile of guys that you need. What has the preseason told us so far? The offensive line is probably not as good as you thought. The receivers probably aren't as complete in terms of their ability to separate as you thought. It's going to take a little time for Trevor to be on the same page with both Darrell Bevell, Urban Meyer, and the rest of the players. You lost ETN, so a lot of the explosiveness that you thought you had, you're not going to get. Jawan Taylor probably hasn't developed the way you thought, and you haven't had as much of an effect on him as you thought you probably could have. The defensive line can stop the run. Caleb Vaughn hasn't really, while he may have improved, he probably really hasn't stepped up to the level that he needs to step up in order for you to be good at both edge positions. The corners might need more time, or you may not have enough talent, especially if you can't get C.J. Henderson on board. And I think you're all right at safety. So what's going to happen when it comes down to cutting down these players? I think you may see a surprise cut or two in the defensive backs. You might even see a trade with one of those DBs and get some future capital. I don't think there's going to be anybody cut on the defensive line that you don't expect. I think Taven Bryant's out of here. That's just my opinion. I think we pretty much know who the top 4 linebackers are. They might be able to find somebody in free agency to make the 5th linebacker, but I think they keep 5. I think Quincy Williams might have a hard time. Offensive line-wise, it's hard to find offensive linemen at this stage and at this point. They picked one up off the waiver wire yesterday from the Bears, but we'll see if they try to keep him as a back-of-the-roster type guy. But pretty much the top 6 or 7 guys they have are guys they're going to have to go with. You're not going to go out there and find a long-time starter in the NFL unless it's just somebody that a team has that's expendable. But usually for people like that, you have to make trades for. There could be a veteran that gets cut that kind of makes you go, wow, we need him on the team. But who knows? Wide receivers, I think it is what it is. You are where you are with those guys. Quarterback, you may be able to move Gardner Minshew and get something in the future for him, or maybe a player at another position that might help you. Running back is another position. They might take a look at somebody, but I think you pretty much know who the top 2 are. You do know who the top 2 are, and they may add a player after that. Tight end could be something that they look at. So if I did mention, if you're not one of those top 6, top 7 on the offensive line, you're probably going to get cut. My thing is I wonder what they're going to do with guys like Colin Johnson and Treadwell. I think Colin Johnson has more value to other teams than Laquan Treadwell. I think there are teams that would make a move to trade for him if the Jaguars decide to keep Tavon Austin and Phillip Dorsett. And then they have Agnew, and then, of course, they have Chark, Chenault, and Jones. That's 6. It may be hard. It might be 7. Did I just mention 7? I think I just mentioned 7 people. So it might be hard to turn around and look Colin Johnson in the face and say he's going to be on the team too. So those are the things that I think you need to look out for. I don't think there'll be a ton of surprises, but if there is a surprise, it'll be who makes the team as opposed to who will be cut. Now, if you don't want any surprises, when you make your bets, you need to make sure that you pay attention to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q and Lee Sterling. They give you everything from daily picks to blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and all of that stuff before you go on Bet Online. They're sponsored by Bet Online, so make sure you subscribe and listen to that podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling. All right, we'll check in with you tomorrow on a Friday, man. It's your man Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars. You guys do what I tell you. Take care of each other, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.